Our epic story kicks off deep underground. We spot a young miner digging through the pitch-black shadows. He is hunting for something specific. Forget basic diamonds or gold. His eyes lock onto the ultimate prize, a rare treasure absolutely worth dying for. Pure, unfiltered ink. He flashes a grateful smile to his tiny companion. I never would have scored this without your help, little buddy. Clutching the precious vial, he heads straight for the surface. This is his ultimate golden ticket. With a flex like this, the exploration squad has to accept him. Stepping out of the suffocating darkness, a massive city stretches across the horizon. Let us dive right into the beating heart of this metropolis. The streets are absolutely booming with wild cheers for the colorists. These elites are the absolute VIPs of this society. They drip with blinding neon auras with every single step they take. The regular citizens can only stare in pure, unfiltered awe. That aura is totally insane. The crowd goes wild, realizing these heroes just packed up a massive monster. A literal titan of a beast. They do not carry that elite title just for show. As long as these glowing legends hold the line, the city stays safe. Meanwhile, down in the grimy Shadow District, a massive crowd is gathering. Rookies are lining up for the Class C exploration tryouts. They are hyped to claim the absolute honor of braving the unknown, the dreaded Black Land. If you possess color, the doors are wide open for you. It is basically a VIP club for the gifted. But our main character, he gets brutally tossed out into the dirt like an absolute stray dog. The gatekeepers are completely sick of him. How many times do we have to tell you? Nobodies like you do not belong here. Desperate, he flashes his hard-earned loot. He brought back raw ink straight from the danger zone. Why is that not enough? He already proved his absolute worth, but the guard just snaps, completely losing his patience. Do I need to spell this out for your thick skull? You are completely colorless. In this world, your destiny is locked at birth, and sometimes absolute glitches in the system, like him, pop up. A pathetic defect who refuses to accept reality. Listen closely, you colorless freak. The guard releases a terrifying burst of aggressive aura. We are elite explorers. Only the chosen ones have the juice for this job. Weaklings like you would get packed up instantly in the Black Land. Outside these walls, it is an absolute void of suffocating darkness. You cannot even see an inch ahead. And lurking in those pitch-black shadows are bloodthirsty nightmares known as beast creatures. We carry that deadly burden and dive headfirst into absolute hell. We hunt down the survival resources. We put our actual lives on the line for humanity's tomorrow. We are literal walking legends. So drop the absolute delusion, colorless trash. Stay in your lane and do the grunt work meant for your kind. Know your place at the very bottom of the food chain. If I ever catch you creeping around our turf again, he brutally slams the massive iron door right in his face. Try this again, and I will end you myself. Our boy takes a massive emotional hit. Sensing his heartbreak, little Nero pops out from hiding to comfort him. Hey, keep your chin up. There are a ton of other guilds we can check out. Besides, getting rejected is basically our daily routine now. You swore you would become the absolute greatest colorist ever, but right now, you really need to hide back inside. If anyone catches a glimpse of you, we are totally cooked. Let us bounce to the very next spot on the list. Surely someone out there will recognize his absolute grind. But while they scheme their next move, a mysterious silhouette suddenly appears, silently tracking his every single move from a towering high-rise rooftop. Meanwhile, our boy drags his feet through the neon streets clutching a battered notebook, savagely crossing out guild after guild on his target list. Denied, rejected, tossed out. Another day, another massive L for our hero. Running completely out of options, he drags himself to Mari Workshop. Stepping inside the shop, we finally get a name for our stubborn underdog, K. The gorgeous owner greets him with a massive, warm smile. Wow, why the long face got completely roasted at tryouts again. Kay can only sigh deeply and nod. Mari just scoffs at this society's absolute blindness. Those idiots have zero eye for real talent. With your raw stats, you could absolutely wipe the floor with most pro explorers. But the rigid system is totally rigged against the colorless. It is absolute trash, but what can one guy actually do against the world order? She points out his insane, undeniable track record. You casually stroll into the lethal Black Land and haul back premium loot. Your survival skills speak louder than any flashy aura. Kay stays totally humble, knowing his tiny secret weapon, Nero, is the real MVP here. He shakes off the praise and drops his glowing loot on the counter. Just cash me out today, please. Her eyes widen at the absolutely pristine quality of the ink. Oh, I am definitely paying top dollar for this stash. She leans in, dropping some serious lore. The city is actually running terrifyingly low on ink lately. It is becoming a massive, undeniable crisis for the higher-ups. Kay nods slowly, finally connecting the dots. So that is why they are desperately spamming recruitment ads for new explorers. The entire human race literally runs on this magical juice. He knows he has the absolute grit to outgrind anyone alive. But if every single squad aggressively gatekeeps him, his dream is practically dead on arrival. Mari suddenly drops her playful tone. Kay, Did you think about that crazy opportunity I mentioned last time? She is talking about the ultimate legendary stage. You have to shoot your shot, kid. You never know when destiny will totally flip the script. She slides a sleek, heavy flyer across the counter. Rank S. The absolute apex predators of this world. The legendary Dawn Explorers are hosting a massive open draft, and the bold text reads, "No background checks, raw skill only." Kay stares at the paper, his heart absolutely hammering. An S-rank squad is the absolute pinnacle of existence. He was terrified to even look at their application, expecting another brutal L. But if he gets rejected by the best, at least he went out swinging. Mari locks eyes with him, radiating intense big sister energy. This is your golden moment, Kato. Not let these low-tier haters break your spirit. Dawn only cares about one thing: who actually survives the nightmare. Maybe he can finally secure the respect he deserves. They ask if his ultimate dream is still to awaken as a colorist. He has claimed this destiny since he was just a kid, back when he stood freezing in the rain, armed with nothing but the color black. They swear to back him up, no matter what path he takes. Hearing those words, his chest swells with undeniable pride and absolute determination. But reality hits hard. Right now, he simply does not have the luxury to join the elite Dawn exploration team. Before heading out into the unknown, he flashes a grateful smile at Mari. He promises to return soon and warns her to stay safe. Walking away from that safe haven, he knows the clock is ticking. He desperately needs to prepare. Suddenly, his loyal companion Nero starts growling with fierce hostility. Kay is completely clueless about the lurking danger, but out of nowhere, a rogue colorist materializes and launches a lethal sneak attack right at his back. The brutal strike slices deep, sending our main character crashing into the dirt. The ambushers just laugh in his face. For a pathetic colorless trash, he actually survived the first hit. But it does not matter, his fate is sealed anyway. If a worthless colorless gets erased from this world, absolutely nobody will shed a tear. Nero wails in pure agony, shattered by the sight. But Kay, coughing up blood with the last ounce of his fading strength, begs Nero to run for his life. Fast forward a bit, and the scene shifts to an absolute nightmare. A toxic ink disposal facility. Our protagonist violently snaps awake. His executioner has him dangling by a thread, hovering directly over a massive vat of boiling waste. Talk about the worst luck imaginable. He is literally seconds away from being dropped alive into this lethal abyss. When every single pigment gets mixed together, it creates a highly corrosive ink waste. To ordinary humans, this stuff is a guaranteed death sentence. One splash, and your entire body melts away without leaving a single trace. If you want to erase a corpse permanently, this is the ultimate graveyard. Kay frantically looks at his attacker, having zero clue who this psycho is, or why he was targeted in the first place. But the villain is just as shocked by his own lucky strike. Who in their right mind would ever expect to find a priceless treasure hiding in the filthy slums of the Shadow District? A magical beast smart enough to follow human commands is an ultra-rare drop. Right on cue, the second thug walks in, holding Nero hostage inside a steel cage. Kay screams at them to release his buddy this instant, but the thug just snickers. "Oh, I am so terrified. Even if a bottom-tier colorless throws a punch, it would barely feel like a gentle breeze. That little monster is a literal goldmine on the underground market. It is way too premium for a pathetic loser like Kay to keep around." Reality crashes down on Kay. He let his guard down in the Shadow District, and this is the brutal price. He has spent his entire life swallowing their toxic discrimination and disgust, but now they dare to steal Nero, his one and only family. He refuses to let them take everything. A terrifying aura suddenly erupts from his battered body. The second the colorist makes physical contact, his smug grin vanishes into pure panic. He feels his very life force being violently drained away. Disgusted and terrified by this cursed sensation, he violently hurls Kay straight down into the pitch-black abyss of toxic ink. And just like that, the villains dust off their hands. The trash has been permanently disposed of. Nero is left screaming in absolute despair, mourning the loss of his best friend. Down in the suffocating depths, Kay is drowning in the corrosive sludge. His mind screams that he has to save Nero, but his paralyzed body refuses to move. He refuses to believe his story ends in this pathetic way. Is this seriously game over? No way. He still has to fulfill that sacred promise from long ago. Suddenly, an ancient voice echoes through the darkness, sparking a tiny ember of hope. "Why are you just laying there? Why are you choosing to do nothing?" Kay has no idea whose voice is echoing in his mind, but he knows he has to embrace it. Fight back with everything you have. Are you really going to die like a dog? Cast away your doubts. You must save Nero. Are you just going to be a punching bag forever? You have waited your entire life for this exact moment. It is time to embrace your true color. Accept your destiny. A fierce joy washes over him as he reclaims his stolen power. In a split second, a devastating black vortex materializes right in the palm of his hand. Up above, Nero watches in awe as Kay is engulfed in absolute pitch-black energy. Kay is completely drenched in ink, his mind a total blank. He does not even remember his own name or his past. But right then, a familiar cry pierces the void. He locks eyes with Nero. His loyal companion is calling out to him. And just like that, it clicks. His sole purpose ignites into an inferno. He has to rescue Nero. Propelled by explosive new strength, he blasts out of the vat. The terrified colorists can only stare at the suffocating black aura erupting from the pit. The toxic sludge instantly evaporates, revealing an ominous silhouette standing at the very bottom. Their minds cannot process this nightmare. That is no longer human, that is an absolute monster. Faster than lightning, the shadow launches itself upward to slaughter the two attackers. Cut to the factory exterior. Complete chaos has erupted. A trembling security guard frantically reports witnessing a colossal disaster. He swears a giant shadowy hand materialized out of thin air and obliterated the entire facility. But his captain just rolls his eyes, calling him a drunk idiot. Yet the absolute destruction of the zone is undeniable. And those bodies lying in the rubble, they are just a couple of worthless, colorless thugs. Miraculously, the body count is only 2 in this massacre. Turns out the victims were corrupt B-rank explorers with a filthy track record. But here is the chilling mystery. How on earth did they get completely drained of their colors? That terrifying detail will have to wait. The local guards are currently scrambling because a massive, unidentified beast has spawned right inside the city limits. Top-tier colorists arrive on the scene. The local grunts are bowing in awe, incredibly honored to meet the legendary commander of the district. They cannot help but wonder what brings such a VIP down to the filthy Shadow District. But the commander tells them to chill out. They just received a high-priority quest to investigate the monster sighting. He smirks and asks, "Would you kindly show me the crime scene?" So they are rushing him to the processing plant. As the investigation team sweeps the area, boom, they find the exact tracks of a monstrous creature. They have been plotting the coordinates of every massive beast reported lately. But here is the crazy part. Even if it spawned on the outskirts, a behemoth like this, suddenly breaching city limits, makes zero sense. Usually this zone only breeds tiny, harmless critters. The squad is already sweating. Could this be a brand new, terrifying mutation? But they need to chill with the theories for a second. The real question is, how on earth are they supposed to track this thing down? Talk about a massive headache for the team. Meanwhile, we cut back to Key. Nero is practically begging him to wake up. His eyes finally snap open. The first thing he does is check on his little buddy. Thank goodness Nero is safe. His head is spinning. What the heck just went down? Oh right, those backstabbing punks. As he floats in this pitch-black ink, the memories flood back. Wait, no way. He looks down at himself. He actually has color. How is that even scientifically possible? And why is it completely pitch black in here? He cannot see a single thing. Suddenly, Nero bolts forward, and Key yells for him to wait. But right before his eyes, Nero morphs into a glowing orb of light. As the darkness gets pushed back, Key realizes he is trapped in an ocean of black ink. This is not just anywhere. This is the Black Forest Zone, a lethal nightmare meant only for B-rank explorers or higher. And worse, a pack of rabid beasts has already surrounded them. They need to bail right now. With Nero shining like a beacon, Key sprints for his life. The monsters lunge from the shadows, their claws dripping with pure danger. He shouts a massive thank you to Nero. Pushing his legs to the absolute limit, he dashes through the chaos. That little guy is literally his guiding light out of this hell. But then something clicks. It is bizarre, yet it feels incredibly amazing. He has been sprinting at top speed, but his lungs are not burning at all. His reflexes are razor sharp. His speed is off the charts. His entire body feels completely reborn, pulsing with an insane amount of raw energy. But 1 second of distraction is all it takes. A grotesque monster leaps straight for his throat. Key freezes. He cannot dodge this. It is game over. The beast sinks its fangs into him. Crack, the monster's teeth instantly shatter into pieces, leaving it absolutely stunned. Whimpering in pain, the creature tucks its tail and scurries away. Key is completely speechless. He braced for a brutal death, but there is not even a scratch on him. Is this the legendary power of having color? He looks at Nero, who stays silent. But the silence does not last, because looming right in front of them is an absolute titan. A literal cyclops. What is the apex predator of the deepest black forest doing all the way out here? Before Key can even blink, the giant swings. Bam! The devastating impact sends our main character flying like a ragdoll. Nero panics as Key hits the ground hard. That strike definitely bruised his ribs. But slowly, a confident smirk creeps across Key's face. The fear is gone. He actually feels like he can crush this thing. He finally unlocked the color he desperately craved. The old weak Key is dead. Running away is no longer in his vocabulary. He closes his eyes. He needs to tap into that exact feeling, that burning emotion from before. Suddenly, an explosive aura of pure, pitch-black color erupts around his entire body. The Cyclops roars and charges in for the kill. But as the monster winds up its massive fist, Key blasts straight through its torso like a bullet, leaving a massive crater in the dirt behind him. Emerging from the dust, he looks around. The environment is radiating with vibrant, unbelievable colors. But the hype does not last long. His badass black aura violently flickers out, and he collapses to his knees. Nero flutters around him in full panic mode. Reality hits hard. Channeling this insane strength completely drains his color reserves. If he keeps pushing it like this, his body will literally shut down. Suddenly, that creepy, mysterious voice echoes in his skull again. "What are you waiting for?" it whispers. "Your feast is served right in front of you." He needs to devour the color from the fallen beast. The math is simple. Eat or die. All he has to do is reach out his hand. Hovering his palm over the glowing energy, it violently spirals into his skin. Nero watches in absolute shock. A rush of pure adrenaline hits Key's system. He cheated death today. But this wild ride is just getting started. Scene change. We cut over to Mari's workshop cafe. Or Mari's garage, whatever you want to call it. The door suddenly chimes. Mari jumps startled by an unexpected customer. She puts on her customer service voice to greet the stranger. "What brings you to my shop?" Looking for a custom build. But the shadowy figure just stands there in dead silence. He takes a slow, heavy step toward her. Mari nervously calls out to the guy. Red flags are going off everywhere. The dude looks sketch as hell. She immediately grabs a heavy steel wrench from her workbench and orders him to freeze. "Take one more step, and I will knock your teeth into next week." She raises the weapon fully locked and loaded for a brawl. She screams at him to back off, but the figure slowly lowers his hood. "Hey, it is just me." Mari drops her wrench. Her jaw hits the floor. For a split second, she could not even recognize him. Key awkwardly apologizes for looking like a total sleep paralysis demon. Mari is physically shaking, demanding to know what on earth happened to him. Tears of rage well up in her eyes. She swears she is going to hunt down the scumbags who did this. "Those trashes deserve to have their skulls caved in with my sledgehammer." Key gently grabs her shoulders to calm her down. He drops a cold smirk. "Do not worry about it, karma already caught up to them." Though he admits things got a little messy. She had been losing her mind with anxiety ever since his signal went dark. A nightmare like this was not even on her bingo card. Tears finally spill over as she hugs him, just incredibly thankful he is breathing. Key feels super guilty for stressing her out. But against all odds, he actually survived the lethal ink dump. Getting his true colors back is absolutely mind-blowing. But pitch black, that is the trademark of the nightmarish creatures. People are definitely going to give him some heavy side-eye. Kay could not care less about the haters, though. That is all in the past. The only thing on his radar right now is his golden ticket to becoming a fully fledged colorist. He's putting everything else on hold to crash the Explorer's entrance exam. And you bet he's making it back before the clock runs out. But first he hits up Mari for a massive favor, begging to borrow some decent combat gear and promising to return it in one piece. Mari just lets out a heavy sigh, wondering how many times they have played this exact same game. Still, she brushes off the annoyance, chalking it up as a high-stakes investment in a future elite colorist. She gestures for him to follow her lead. Talk about perfect timing. She pulls out an absolute top-tier loadout that fits his frame like an absolute glove. The camera pans to the absolute chaos of the colorist testing grounds. An ocean of hopeful rookies is packed into the massive arena. You can practically taste the anxiety in the air. The sheer number of competitors is enough to make anyone sweat bullets. But panicking means game over. Keeping a cool head is the only way to survive this absolute meat grinder of a competition. Still standing there hits different. Nobody can believe they actually made it to the legendary Dawn Explorers tryouts. Snagging a spot in this specific squad is the ultimate endgame for literally every single explorer out there. Why? Because these guys are absolute beasts. They hold the undisputed high score for surviving the nightmarish Black Earth. As a legendary S-rank faction packed with god-tier colorists, they are basically the shining beacon of hope for the entire illuminated city. But here is the catch. The arena is crawling with heavy hitters. We are talking about the Prodigy, second daughter of a massive colorist dynasty, and an infamous bounty hunter. Toss in some wildly hyped rising stars, and the roster is stacked. Yet there is one specific dude radiating pure menace who steals all the spotlight. Enter Gale, the Gale Sword. Everyone knows this powerhouse already has a VIP pass practically secured. Rumor has it he can solo massive bloodthirsty creatures without breaking a sweat. But his unhinged psychopathic vibe makes him a walking red flag. Word on the street is his toxic behavior got him booted from his last guild. Yet here he stands practically daring someone to flinch. Some cocky extras start whispering trash, thinking a loose cannon like him will easily get humbled by real discipline. They straight up mock him. Big mistake. Gale catches every single word of their absolute garbage talk. To him, they are just pathetic, noisy bugs. He lets out a bored scoff. He came here expecting S-rank thrills, but all he sees is a buffet of utter disappointment. Not a single decent challenge in sight. That is, until his eyes lock onto a very specific target. The rumors were absolutely spot on. Eli Cian, the elite heiress of the Cian bloodline, radiates enough raw potential to finally pique his twisted interest. With a predatory grin, he reaches out to test her reflexes, completely ready for a fight. But a booming voice over the speakers shatters the tension. The announcement echoes like thunder. All recruits need to lock in immediately because the Dawn Explorers selection is officially going live. Suddenly, a massive hush falls over the crowd. An actual verified colorist from the Dawn Explorers steps out from the shadows. Everyone recognizes him instantly. This absolute legend single-handedly hard-carried the last major monster extermination raid. Having a top-tier veteran show up as the examiner, that just proves the guild is not messing around with this year's draft. Seeing a legend up close is an entirely different trip. The suffocating pressure of his aura has the whole arena barely breathing. S-rank hunters truly hit different, existing in a league of their own. With a commanding presence, he officially welcomes the fresh meat. He kicks things off with a hollow thank you, acknowledging the massive swarm of hopefuls desperate to wear the Dawn Explorer's badge. He knows exactly what drives this crowd. Every single person standing in the dirt has their own selfish dreams and hidden agendas. Cash, supreme power, blind, glory, or pure duty. He could not care less. In this brutal world, the only currency that matters is raw, unfiltered strength. The guild has zero room for dead weight. They are hunting for absolute monsters who can push past human limits. They need warriors crazy enough to dive headfirst into the cursed black earth and take back what humanity lost. Average scrubs need not apply. Skipping the boring speeches, he demands the crowd brace themselves for absolute carnage. Phase 1 is straight up brutal, a classic elimination tournament. Because out in the wild, your combat flow is the only thing keeping you breathing. This is pure, unadulterated survival of the fittest. It is time to put their money where their mouth is and bleed for a spot. Only the ones who completely dominate their matchups will even get a taste of round 2. The rules are dead simple. Hear your number, step into the kill zone. The speaker blares, calling candidate 126 against 286. The crowd instantly gasps, pitying the poor soul about to get utterly demolished by a heavyweight. But Gale, his eyes practically glow with twisted excitement. Talk about hitting the jackpot. The boredom was killing him, and now he gets a shiny new toy to break. He wonders just how painfully he should drag this out. Stepping into the ring, he sizes up his bizarre opponent. The dude's stance is completely sloppy, looking like a total pushover, just begging to be wiped out. But Gale completely ignores the red flags. His blood is pumping, and he is way too hyped to care about the details. Gripping his hilt, he unleashes his signature sword art with absolutely zero restraint. The rookies completely lose their minds, screaming about the legendary Gale sword technique. At his age, wielding a blade with that much pure devastation is just illegal. Radiating an overwhelming aura, this guy definitely lives up to his genius title. He smirks, daring our MC to block his incoming strike. One wrong move, and he will be sliced into ribbons. Without a second thought, the so-called prodigy lunges straight at our hero. But before that blade even grazes his neck, boom! A single devastating counterpunch sends the genius flying off the arena, crashing brutally into the stadium walls. The entire crowd instantly freezes in absolute shock. Nobody can process what just happened. A literal one-shot knockout. How is that even humanly possible? Ironically, our MC was just caught off guard by the sudden rush. But as the dust settles, the spectators lock onto his jet black hair. Jaws drop to the floor. They are rubbing their eyes, convinced this is some wild hallucination. Up in the stands, the colorist examiner leans in close. Black is the ominous shade of the monstrous creatures. Could a mere mortal actually possess such a forbidden hue? That legendary Gale sword was shattered like cheap glass. Is this the terrifying might of the black color? Meanwhile, our oblivious MC is sweating, wondering why everyone is staring daggers at him. Did he mess up the vibe? The next round kicks off. His terrified opponent refuses to let him close the distance, desperately hurling a barrage of massive boulders his way. The poor guy is losing his mind as every single attack simply bounces off. Completely unfazed, our protagonist slowly closes the gap. Bam! Another effortless strike claims total victory. The announcer screams through the mic. The winner of this round is participant 286. Match after match, the absolute slaughter continues. The exact same flawless outcome repeats, leaving the examiner utterly speechless. The pro scouts beside him are practically drooling. This kid is a diamond in the rough. He is easily dominating the entire rookie draft class. Not to mention, he is the first ever wielder of the Black Anomaly in recorded history. Wild rumors are already spreading like wildfire. This is their golden ticket to recruit a future legend. But suddenly the heavy doors swing open, revealing two elite colorists stepping onto the scene. They mockingly ask if the rookie wrangling is stressing him out. Wait, that is the infamous Red Team leader. What is a big shot like him doing at a newbie exam? Red casually checks on the trial's progress. He claims he was just wandering the halls, fresh off dealing with a highly classified commission. That dead-end mission has been giving him massive headaches with zero results. Changing the subject, he asks if any fresh meat actually caught their eye. They tell him to hold his horses until this bracket finishes. After all, they have the terrifying prodigy from the noble Siang bloodline, and alongside her, a glitch in the system. Red narrows his eyes, instantly locking onto the boy with the abyss black hair. The examiners knew Red would spot the anomaly. This kid just crushed a top seed favorite like an insect putting on an absolute monster class in combat. At this terrifying pace, his acceptance into the elite ranks is practically set in stone. The blue-haired examiner shoots Red a curious glance. She whispers, asking if this is the rumored survivor from the horrific factory incident. Red's silent nod confirms their darkest suspicions. A brand new color awakening right after that bizarre disaster. There are no coincidences in this world. But for now, they must keep a close watch from the shadows. We cut back to Kay, our unstoppable MC currently riding a glorious winning streak. This awakened power is absolutely intoxicating. With this overwhelming strength coursing through his veins, earning the title of Explorer is a guaranteed lock. Yet a dark shadow crosses his mind. A traumatic memory flashes before his eyes. The agonizing moment, his energy ran completely dry. If he pushes past his limits again, his dark aura will vanish entirely. And if that happens, it is an instant game over. Suddenly, a massive explosion of vivid energy rocks the battle arena. Standing amidst the smoke is participant 17. The judges nod in absolute awe. The Seong family's signature aura is always a majestic spectacle. This is the terrifying mastery you expect from a legendary noble house. Our MC watches her devastating display, wondering how he could ever counter such overwhelming force. As she walks past him, the tension spikes. Their eyes lock in a freezing stare-down, her gaze dripping with absolute killing intent. The first trial has officially wrapped up. The yellow examiner steps up, offering fake smiles and polite applause to the bleeding survivors. But time is ticking. They are skipping the breaks and diving straight into the abyss. He coldly tells the losers to pack their bags and try their luck next year. It is a harsh reality check, but the weak have no place here. Yet, just as Yellow announces the next phase, Red steps forward and cuts him off. He declares that he will personally orchestrate the second exam. A chilling silence falls over the judges' table, their faces draining of all color. This is Red we are talking about. For those uninitiated in the lore, let me paint you a terrifying picture of this man. He is an absolute apex predator in the illuminated city, a living legend famous for conquering the cursed Black Lands and holding the all-time high score. His subjugation record is basically a mountain of corpses. Rumor says his destructive magic is so violently unhinged, even his own teammates are terrified to fight beside him. With this psychopath running the show, the rookie survival rate just dropped to 0. Yellow nervously sweats, asking if Red is actually going through with this madness. The captain will unleash hell if he finds out the curriculum was hijacked. Red just chuckles darkly. He gets chewed out every single day anyway. His rules for the test are brutally simple. Just do not die. In a heartbeat, an inferno of crushing spiritual pressure engulfs the entire room. Pure panic erupts as the rookies scramble, desperately summoning their auras to block the scorching heat. Red just smiled like a demon. He perfectly recreated the exact climate, a hellish slice of a deadly zone he once conquered. He casually mentions that things are about to get a little spicy. Welcome to the nightmare of the Black Lands. Out there, the apocalyptic environment instantly vaporizes weaklings on contact. So honestly, this blazing inferno is nothing more than a cozy campfire. The math is simple. Endure the flames and you pass. But if you crumble in this kiddie pool, you never deserve to stand among the elite anyway. Right off the bat, the scorching heat is absolutely suffocating. The temperature skyrockets, and things are looking incredibly grim. What kind of hellish domain is this? Surviving this feels completely impossible for ordinary people. Their abilities cannot even leave a single scratch on these threats. Bracing for impact is their only option left. The colorist remembers hearing rumors about him slacking off in training lately, but his aura has not diminished one bit. Those whispers were totally exaggerated after all. Enveloping that many people in a protective barrier in the blink of an eye, his power control is absolutely insane. As expected from an absolute top-tier powerhouse. But right at that moment, someone actually manages to shatter the barrier, and shockingly, it is the Cyan girl. Red watches this unfold, clearly impressed by her display. The Cyan family power was supposed to be a natural counter, yet she crushed it instantly without hesitation. That girl definitely lives up to the title of a true prodigy. But what about the rest of the candidates? They are barely hanging on by a thread, completely failing to break through, and a wave of pure dread washes over them. It is not like anyone expected much from the start. However, our main character knows he is totally cooked, frantically searching for a way out. He burned through way too much color in that previous clash. If he had known this nightmare was coming, he would have rationed his energy. Frustration boils inside him. The longer he holds out, the faster his power drains away. Why is his color slipping through his fingers? If he gets exposed as completely colorless in front of this ruthless crowd, his life is over. Best case scenario, he becomes a miserable lab rat. Standing around like a sitting duck is simply not an option. He desperately needs an escape route right now. He frantically scans the area, realizing there is absolutely nothing he can absorb like last time. But then, a strange sensation hits him. Wait a second. This barrier itself is forged from pure color energy, which means he should be able to devour it. Even though he still has zero clue about the actual limits of his absorption ability, it is a massive gamble he has to take. The blazing heat is melting his brain, leaving zero time to overthink. He dives right in and activates his direct absorption skill. Suddenly, he starts draining every single barrier surrounding the other participants like a massive black hole. The crowd is left entirely speechless. The yellow colorist completely loses his mind, while Red stands frozen in pure shock. It looks like they dragged a literal monster into the exam this time. The fact that he devoured all those shields leaves everyone shaking in their boots. He messed up big time. This was definitely not part of the plan. Drawing this much insane attention means he is in incredibly deep water. Meanwhile, this exam meant everything to the Cyan girl. She desperately wanted to showcase the ultimate power she perfected for her family, yet every single whisper echoing around her is obsessed with that black color. Is that even an ability a normal human could possess? The manifestation of an entirely unheard of color is a completely unprecedented anomaly. It is subtle, but a creeping anxiety wraps around her heart. Raised to be the absolute pinnacle of her family, falling behind was never an option, and she absolutely refused to let her sister worry about her. But this guy, K, is on a completely different level of overwhelming strength, so absurdly strong that even going all out would not guarantee her a win. There is a dark mystery swirling around him that raw power alone cannot explain. What kind of freak of nature is he? But she shakes her head, refusing to let those thoughts consume her. Whatever he is, it does not matter. Next time, the outcome will be entirely different. The scene shifts as the red colorist steps right up to our main character. That black color ability from a moment ago emitted a completely ridiculous aura, draining energy from everyone else. Hushed whispers ripple through the entire room, and Red admits he absolutely cannot hold back his burning curiosity. Would K mind spilling a few more secrets about this mysterious power? He wants to take this conversation somewhere private and keep things strictly off the record. K immediately questions what will happen to his exam score, but Red completely brushes it off. With a display like that, he automatically passes, and Red will handle all the paperwork. K's jaw practically hits the floor, past causing an absolute scene. This time actually saved his skin. He finally secured his spot as an explorer, but Red warns him to keep his voice down. The yellow examiner glares, calling Red a total reckless idiot for doing whatever he wants again. Despite the chaos, the trial presses forward, but Red casually tosses out an apology, promising to make it up to him later, begging Yellow to just slide this one under the rug. Yellow announces to the remaining crowd that due to totally unforeseen circumstances, the test hit a temporary roadblock. But the evaluation is far from over, with the exception of number 17, who completely shattered the barrier on her own. Every single remaining candidate must face an additional brutal trial. The Cyan girl can only stand there in absolute silence, watching K being escorted away to a hidden location. Red tells the blue-haired girl to hold tight, promising he will be right back. But as they walk, our protagonist suddenly realizes they have arrived at a very familiar spot. The exact same terrifying pit where he plummeted into the ink waste. Red stares into the abyss, noting the grim view, and brings up a recent tragic incident. Two incredibly skilled explorers who originally wielded powerful colors were completely drained into colorless husks. It was a horrifying first in their history, and according to terrified witnesses standing right at this edge, they swore they saw a gigantic, nightmarish beast dragging itself out from the ink. And just like that, he made his epic entrance, the very first awakener wielding the color black. Talk about a crazy coincidence, an aura that literally devours everything else. It eats other colors alive. This isn't just surprising, it is a completely alien ability that defies all logic. Our boy is sweating bullets, completely speechless under that intense gaze. This guy saw right through him from the start. The urge to run screams in his mind, but let us be real, escaping is basically impossible. He is standing face to face with a legend, someone even elite colorists call a hero. Red smirks, casually mentioning he was just testing the waters. But seeing such a raw, terrified reaction, that just ruined the fun. Officially, his mission is to investigate the chaos that went down in this sector. Off the record, though, he could not care less about the ruins. He is completely obsessed with our main character's mysterious new power. Whether it is the pitch-black aura itself or the raw energy radiating from it, Red has never witnessed anything like this in his entire life. Color abilities might seem straightforward on the surface, but here is the catch. They absolutely cannot mix. It is a fundamental law. Yet, this kid's ability completely shatters those rules, and judging by the absolute madness that unfolded during the second exam phase, he clearly has zero control over it. Red's intuition is spot on. Sucking the life and color out of his surroundings was just a side effect of his awakening. Red drops a bombshell. They need to run a little experiment. Our guy just blinks, completely clueless about the nightmare he is about to face. The hero demands to see the absolute limit of this power, how it breathes, how it fights. He spreads his arms and dares the rookie to absorb his crimson aura. Panic sets in. This is basically a death sentence. What if his body explodes from the strain? But Red just brushes off the rookie's hesitation. Enough talking. Time to show some results. Black is the ultimate taboo, symbolizing the forbidden deadlands, an ominous force hardwired to consume existence itself. Letting a walking nuclear reactor roam free without a leash or a power dampener, that is a massive red flag for the authorities. In the wrong hands, this darkness could easily crush the very foundations of the glowing city. And there is a darker secret the public does not even know. Humanoid monsters are lurking in the shadows. If this kid ever sides with them, Red mentally prepares to execute him right on the spot. With his back against the wall, our boy caves. He mutters a quick, "If I die, it is on you," and triggers the void, dragging the crimson energy in. Instant regret. The sheer volume of energy is absolutely terrifying. It is scorching his veins, completely overloading his system. It feels like chugging boiling magma. The raw, unadulterated power of a top-tier hero is hitting him like a runaway freight train. So this is the true strength of the man they call a hero. Red simply watches unfazed as the darkness greedily devours his aura like a starving beast. But there is a catch. Since the kid's core is still fragile, true powerhouses can actually resist getting swallowed by the void. Still, it is a lethal threat to 99% of awakeners. And that stunt pulled during the exam, that was just the tip of the iceberg. The real question burning in Red's mind: how exactly does he weaponize the stolen colors? The dark suction continues relentlessly until Red finally steps back. Suddenly, a terrifying pressure erupts from our protagonist. The shadows twist and mutate into something completely unnatural. If Red did not know better, he would swear he was staring at an actual monster. The puzzle pieces snap together. This kid was definitely the epicenter of the disaster. There are a million questions to ask, but first, he needs to extinguish the raging inferno standing right in front of him. Before this rookie levels another city block, Red prepares to slam him down. But then chilling words slip from the protagonist's lips. He craves the color. He wants every single drop of that overflowing power. Throwing away all restraint, he welcomes the agonizing heat. Demonic whispers echo in his skull, driving him insane. He grinds his teeth violently, ordering the voices to shut up and submit. He commands the raging energy to sit down and behave. With one earth-shattering clench of his fist, the chaotic aura instantly vanishes. Red is visibly stunned. He can barely process the fact that this total amateur just choked out such immense power by pure willpower. Our boy genuinely thought his heart was going to explode. He has no clue why his inner demons suddenly snapped, especially right in front of an elite colorist. He seriously needs to figure out the mechanics of this curse. Meanwhile, Red smirks, fully aware that the kid just survived a brutal wake-up call. The surge of crimson energy was way deadlier than anticipated, but hey, that means the crazy experiment was a massive success. This is getting seriously entertaining. In this cutthroat world, if you want god-tier results, you have to gamble with your life. Red dusts himself off, calling an end to the brutal pop quiz. Oh, and by the way, he drops a cold reality check. He is the lead investigator assigned to clean up the catastrophic mess left behind in this very sector. Since he took the job, he is obligated to hunt down the culprit, and right now he is staring at a kid who looks guilty as hell. The protagonist freezes, his blood running cold. Turns out way too many powerful eyes are watching this case closely. And with a forbidden power like his, the second rumors leak about a black aura user, he is instantly going to become public enemy number one. Even out here in the wastelands, the property damage alone easily rockets into the hundreds of millions. Red brutally asks if he has the cash to cover that. But honestly, going bankrupt is the least of his worries if the city council gets involved. If the elites brand his ability, a national threat, exile is guaranteed. Worst case scenario, he gets strapped to a table as a permanent lab rat. The trap snaps shut. He is completely cornered, even though ironically he is just as much a victim of this insane tragedy as anyone else. He offers a lifeline. If Key joins his ranks, they might just make this nightmare disappear. Left with zero options, Key completely submits to his authority. "You're under my wing now," he smirks. But there's a catch. He needs Key to listen up, making it crystal clear that this isn't some free charity ride. Survival comes with a heavy price tag. He demands absolute loyalty and a few massive favors in return, testing if Key actually has the guts to pull this off. Honestly, anything beats drowning in astronomical debt or getting sliced open on a cold laboratory table. If shedding blood and sweating for this guy keeps him breathing, Key is all in. Deal sealed. Red's eyes gleam with dangerous excitement though. Key nervously wonders what anything actually means. Cut to a heavy armored transport tearing down the road. The towering city walls fade into the distance. Key has never ventured this far out before. The tension breaks when someone snaps at the brooding black-haired scout. The dude is seriously killing the vibe. They need him to snap out of his daydream and actually start doing his job as a vanguard. So much for a dream team. Fate really threw them all into the same chaotic squad, and now they have to watch each other's backs. The green-haired girl keeps talking, leaving Key completely lost in the sauce. Let's hit the rewind button to see how our boy ended up in this crazy mess. Flashback time. Red cornered Key with a wild proposal to join a high-stakes expedition. He had tracked down a hidden zone deep within the uncharted territories. And for this insane mission, Red specifically needed Key's power. Seeing Key pale, Red chuckled. He told him to drop the terrified look, promising he wouldn't be walking into hell alone. The entire rookie roster was getting drafted into this madness. It was all part of a massive expansion crusade the core was about to drop on the world. No spoilers allowed. Red promised the details would drop later, ordering Key to just show up at the rendezvous point without being late. Snapping back to reality. The second Key stepped onto that transport, he realized this squad was already locked and loaded, glaring daggers at him. Here's the tea. Red's wild stunt totally crashed the exam system. To keep things from turning into an all-out riot, the higher-ups handed out second chances. Because of that loophole, a whole wave of absolute monsters crushed the makeup test and secured their spots. Enter Eli, the absolute top-tier rookie who handpicked Red's squad. Meanwhile, the salty guy in the corner is still fuming, humiliated that a clumsy noob like Key showed him up. His pride is completely shattered. He swears he only slipped up for a split second back then, practically growling that Key's plot armor is about to expire. He vows to make Key pay the moment this mission wraps up. He even flexes, claiming he would have crushed Key into dust if Miss Lavian was not breathing down his neck. But Eli brutally shuts him down. She tells him to take a seat, roasting him by saying he is just going to get face-planted all over again. She straight up tells him he is wasting his breath. Key's hidden potential is way out of his league, even if the hothead is too blind to see it. Key awkwardly watches, thinking he could actually vibe with this guy under different circumstances. But Eli's piercing gaze locks onto our boy. She is the real final boss here, and Key is definitely sweating. Their eyes clash, unspoken challenges flying through the air. The message is clear. Losers need to sit in the back and wait for their turn to strike. Watching these clashing auras spark inside a cramped vehicle, Key heavily doubts this chaotic team will survive 5 minutes without killing each other. Scene shift to a bustling metropolis. Welcome to the legendary Dawn Corps Vanguard outpost. Key's jaw practically hits the floor at the sheer army of hunters operating here. Back when he used to dive into the nightmare-filled Black Earth, he was just a solo player rolling the dice with zero backup. But an S-rank guild, their logistics and massive supply chains are a total game-changer. His awe gets interrupted when a familiar voice asks if his brain just lagged out. It is Mari. She actually traveled all the way to this fortress city. Key's eyes light up, genuinely hyped that his best friend made it safely. There was zero chance she would miss his debut mission. She even brought Nero along for the ride, handing the little guy over as Key warmly thanks her for babysitting. She brushes it off with a sweet smile. To her, this is not a burden. They are basically a found family navigating this crazy world together. Plus, tagging along with the elite Dawn Corps is not just a favor. It is a massive level-up opportunity for her own journey. Her unique skills are a total asset, making this the ultimate grinding session. Suddenly, the loudspeakers blare. Playtime is over, and all units are ordered to assemble at the drop zone. The countdown to enter the infamous Black Earth has officially begun. Key gently takes Nero, telling Mari she needs to evacuate to the safe zone and stay on guard. She begs him not to pull any reckless shonen protagonist stunts, and they share an emotional farewell. Key pats Nero, hoping the little beast will not miss her too much. But boom. Out of nowhere, Nero straight up dissolves and instantly merges right into our main character's shadow. Mari stands there, completely shook. Her brain short-circuits trying to process the dark magic. She tries to call Key back, but he brushes it off like carrying a shadow beast is just another Tuesday. Cut to the main strike force. Weapons are drawn and auras are flaring as the entire army stands at the terrifying threshold of the Black Earth. The commander's voice echoes, drilling the golden rule into their skulls. Survive at all costs. The recon units from Sector 21 just dropped chilling intel. Unidentified nightmarish beasts are swarming the perimeter. Worse, they stumbled upon the mutilated corpse of a massive monster. It was an A-rank disaster-level threat, meaning whatever killed it is an absolute nightmare. The troops tense up. Suddenly, a scout urgently radios Miss Arancia. She demands the situation report immediately. The scout stammers, revealing that Boss Red just hijacked the entire squad of rookies. He went completely rogue, breaking formation without a single word. Arancia's eye twitches with blazing fury. Running this operation is already hell, and Red's rebellious stunts are her biggest headache. Gritting her teeth, she just prays that reckless idiot brings those kids back in one piece. Let's shift the camera back to Red's hijacked suicide squad. Looking out the reinforced windows, it hits them. This convoy is definitely not following the main army's trail. The rookies panic, wondering if their boss has lost his mind. But Red flashes, a wicked grin, announcing they are heading off-grid. Now, a bunch of terrified noobs are trapped together, completely clueless about the insane fate waiting for them in the dark. Finding out Boss Red only wanted to bring Key on this raid. Yeah, green hair is absolutely fuming. There is no way he is letting himself get benched. Eli reminds him that scoring personal training from Red is an ultra-rare drop. He refuses to let his rival monopolize the spotlight. Red scoffs, making it crystal clear he didn't sign up to babysit some rookies. but keeping them under his wing means fewer casualties. Since they are officially a squad, it is time to shut up and march. Stepping into the death zone, it is absolute chaos. Miss Eli goes full combat mode, slicing through the beast horde. The brutal reality of the Black Land hits her. The air is thick with killing intent and the monsters just keep respawning. This is not a simulation. It makes academy training look like a total joke. She needs to manage her stamina bar or she will burn out way too fast. Every strike demands perfect, calculated precision. There is no way she is letting Ki outshine her in this raid, but watching him fight just breaks her brain. Why isn't he wielding a spoit? Even during the entrance exams, his hands were empty. Ki casually drops a bombshell. Those weapons are way out of his budget, so he figured he would just wing it. Hearing he has literally never used one shatters the other colorist's reality. A spoit isn't optional, it is the ultimate survival tool. Explorers literally rely on them to shred through these nightmares. To actually secure a beast kill, you have to inject color mixtures using the weapon. Yet this absolute unit is one-shotting them bare-handed. Green Hair feels a cold sweat drop. The memory of their duel flashes back. He threw hands with an unarmed guy and couldn't even leave a single scratch. His pride demands revenge, vowing to completely crush him one day. Red just smirks at the tension. A little savage rivalry is perfect fuel for these prodigies. This mission is about to get insanely hype. The target zone is dead ahead, just a few more waves of carnage, before they can clear the boss room and grab a victory drink. After wiping the floor with another horde, the squad hits pause. Red barks that the real nightmare hasn't even begun. He orders them to stay frosty, giving them exactly 10 minutes to patch up before the slaughter resumes. Green Hair is stressing over his depleted color reserves until he notices that our main character Ki possesses a stash of personal ink. That stuff is an alchemically refined cheat code, built for elite explorers, instantly maxing out both color pools and vitality. He heard it is ridiculously expensive, because it is custom brewed to match the user's soul frequency, and seeing it treated like tap water, total jealousy unlocked. But he brushes it off, pretending his own stats are totally fine. Eli is also chugging down her own premium potion. They ask Ki what his next move is, but instead of drinking, he just walks up to a dead beast and literally absorbs its dark essence. Boom, full health restored. Eli looks absolutely horrified, asking if his mind is still intact. Ki just blinks, completely oblivious to the panic. He casually shrugs it off, saying it is his usual routine. She is speechless. Devouring a monster's core should be an instant game over. Seriously, only a borderline psychopath acts this chill about breaking the laws of nature. Red suddenly shatters the silence. Playtime is officially over. They need to move right now because the final objective is staring them down. Looming ahead is a massive sphere of void-black energy. It is an impenetrable curtain of dark matter. Ki is clueless, but Red reveals this anomaly is the exact reason he was drafted. He tells the rookies to pay attention, launching a brutal strike right at the void. The impact hits, but if you try brute forcing this thing, it literally eats the damage and buffs its own defense stats. That perfectly mirrors Ki's freakish devouring trait. Red gambled that the kid's aura could completely erase this glitch in reality. Beyond this pitch-black veil lies the gateway to the ancient ruins, and inside those shadows rests the holy grail of this entire expedition, the Stele Fragment. The rookies exchange confused glances. That name means nothing to them. It is completely wiped from the history books. Red confirms it is a legendary artifact that the Radiant City is desperately trying to get their hands on, but the lore drop ends there. Right now, that barrier needs to vanish. He orders Ki to step up to the plate. The moment the main character's hand connects, his unique frequency starts drinking the void. Red smirks. His theory was dead on. The indestructible wall is dissolving into nothingness. Ki's broken power scaling is going to be a massive asset. But suddenly, violent tremors shake the ground, and a deafening alarm echoes through the cavern. This massive aggro spike is basically a dinner bell for the swarm. Right on cue, a tidal wave of bloodthirsty monsters spawns from the shadows. The squad immediately grips their weapons. The mob count is insane, but they have to hold the front line until Ki finishes deleting the barrier. Red issues a cold command to wipe them out, and the duo explodes into action. Eli unleashes her flawless combat arts, slicing them up like it is a tutorial level. Boss Red keeps a hand near his weapon ready to save them, but quickly realizes these rookies aren't breaking a single sweat against the horde. He fully expected to carry them through this dungeon run, but seeing them pop off like absolute legends proves bringing them was a massive win. There is nothing he loves more than squad mates who can actually pull their own weight. Now all eyes back on Ki. He knew something sinister was going down. But why did this barrier feel exactly like his own aura? Was it just that pitch-black energy? Or something way deeper? 1 second of slacking off, and this void would drain his essence dry. Still, if this was just a raw power struggle, our boy had the upper hand. Boom. He overpowered the barrier and absorbed every last drop. But hold up. Was this actually the ruins entrance? The ground had completely caved in, leaving a bottomless crater. He radioed Captain Ray, confirming the barrier was officially busted. Ray was hyped. The kid had totally crushed it. His gut instinct about this rookie was spot on. With the shield down, Ray called for an immediate fallback. Mission accomplished, no need to wipe out every single mob. But out of nowhere, Ray blitzed forward. He slashed through a pack of monsters just in time to pull his 2 students from the jaws of death. The kids were completely frozen. How did things go south so fast? Ray gritted his teeth. He knew this raid was going way too smoothly. Intel had warned them about an apex predator roaming the sector. And out of all the absolute worst times, this psycho decided to crash the party right now. The clock was ticking, and this freaky newcomer radiated pure danger. Ray barked orders at the squad to listen up. He tossed a mystery item to our main character. Plan B was a go. They were diving straight into the ruins. They needed to stick together and use whatever skills they had to secure the steely fragment. He believed they could actually pull this off. Kay started low-key panicking, but Ray cut off his rambling and literally shoved the whole squad off the ledge. Plummeting into the pitch-black abyss, Kay screamed his lungs out. Why the heck did the boss just Sparta kick them? What was the game plan here? Up above, an epic clash was about to pop off. Fast forward and Kay face-planted hard into the dirt. Groaning, he powered up his lantern, revealing the inside of the ruins. But the moment the light flickered on, his jaw dropped. Colossal shattered skyscrapers loomed in the shadows. What in the world? An entire forgotten metropolis was buried down here. Out of the gloom, the others started whining about the pitch-black darkness. So much for a dramatic solo landing. He thought he was isolated. But the whole gang was stumbling around thanks to Ray's wild stunt. Instantly, the tension spiked, and they started bickering like crazy. Nobody had a clue where to even start. This underground maze was insanely huge, dwarfing all their expectations. Stumbling into the ghostly remains of an ancient civilization definitely wasn't on today's bingo card. Ray told them to grab a steely fragment. But seriously, how were they supposed to find a tiny needle in this massive stone haystack? They didn't even know what it looked like. Kay sighed, realizing the harsh truth. Wandering around blind would literally take centuries. If only his little buddy Nero was here. He missed that trusty sidekick, who always clutched up in a crisis. Suddenly, he felt a familiar weight. He looked down and gasped. Nero was clinging right to his leg. How the heck did the little guy follow him down here? Eli zeroed in and spotted the creature. Kay broke into a cold sweat. He wasn't about to let them harm his pet, but the secret was officially out. Then a light bulb went off in his head. This could actually be a massive flex. He couldn't hide Nero forever anyway. If he could prove the little beast's scouting skills right now, they'd be set for life. Clapping his hands, he called for a quick team huddle. He dropped the bomb. He had a cheat code to track down the steely fragment. Our guy quickly broke down Nero's whole deal. Basically, this mysterious little critter was his personal ward and possessed some crazy tracking radar for the fragment. Meanwhile, Eli was already totally charmed, giving the beast gentle head pats. Kay was highly confident in a speedrun, but Gale totally scoffed at the idea. He called Cap. There was absolutely no way a rare beast like that existed without him knowing about it. Gale might have been a walking encyclopedia, but whatever. Rolling with Nero was their best shot. Kay smirked and told his buddy to show this hater what's up. Instantly, Nero erupted into a brilliant, glowing orb. The whole squad was left utterly speechless. As they followed the glowing light, Gale's brain was short-circuiting. A magical beast taking orders from a human, packing unique mystic abilities. This defied every rule in the book. Where in the world did this rookie find such a cheat-tier pet? Kay asked Nero to lock onto the artifact's aura. Trusting his little bro completely, Nero flared with pure energy, caught the scent, and zoomed down the corridor. Kay sprinted right behind him. Following the trail, they plunged into a creepy, claustrophobic tunnel. They trekked for what felt like hours, descending deeper into the earth. Key glanced back, sensing the rising tension, and told the doubters they could tap out if they were scared. But Kay wasn't backing down. They were seeing this through. Pushing forward, they entered a sprawling complex. Bizarre ancient numbers were carved into the crumbling stone. The vibes were incredibly off. It was a massive haunting chamber with a completely unknown purpose. Suddenly, Nero swerved sharply, zeroing in on the target at last, but without warning. Bam! A colossal mechanical golem dropped from above, crushing Nero instantly. Key jumps back in shock. Gale instantly draws his blazing blade. Something sinister is lurking in the shadows. But what on earth is this thing? It looks like a typical monster, yet its presence feels completely off. The exact moment its glowing eyes lock onto Eli, it begins a terrifying scan, spitting out bizarre robotic codes. It shifts its deadly gaze to Gale, glitching out with even more mysterious data. And the final target left in the room, our main boy, Key initiating Tonex protocol. It is ruthlessly analyzing his color signature. But the split second it reads his aura, the power levels crash straight to zero. Alert! The forbidden aura of the Black Witch has been detected. Target locked as a lethal threat. Elimination mode activated. It blasts Key with a heavy strike. Our guy is completely caught off guard by this metallic freak. A little warning would be nice before throwing punches. Whatever this junk is, it drew first blood, so Ki is about to smash it into scrap metal. You better brace yourself for impact. Their fists collide in a massive shockwave, but shockingly, Ki is the one taking the brutal recoil. How is its armor this ridiculously tough? Seriously, what kind of overpowered monstrosity are they dealing with? Just then, Eli and Gale launch a fierce sneak attack from the blind spot, but incredibly, even their concentrated color aura fails to leave a single scratch. This is no living beast, making it completely immune to physical pain. Wait, that glowing core inside its chest is literally swirling with pure ink. If that is the main power source they need to shatter it instantly. Without missing a beat, Ki dashes forward, aiming a brutal punch, but the machine dodges with insane reflexes. Basic strikes are completely useless against this thing's flawless defense. He needs a massive trump card. If he coats his body in that pitch-black energy, like before, this fight is absolutely over. But that ultimate move drains his reserves way too fast. He has to concentrate all that dark magic into just his fist. Fully charged and ready to brawl, Ki explodes forward, driving his blackened fist straight through the chest cavity. The core shatters instantly, forcing the machine into a permanent shutdown. Man, that mechanical freak was a total nightmare. Ki inspects the dripping ink crystal. This power source feels completely alien compared to the usual loot drops. Oh, Mari is absolutely going to lose her mind over this rare item, but right on cue, his teammates demand the truth about that crazy dark energy burst. They thought his only skill was simple absorption. They desperately need a full explanation to strategize for the next boss fight. Gale steps up, sternly reminding him that holding back hidden talents is a total rookie mistake. Ki rolls his eyes. Since when do they have VIP access to his personal skill tree? That devastating technique completely devours his color reserves. He only pulls it out when death is literally knocking, but suddenly, a massive stone door creaks open behind them. The squad whips around, completely stunned that the cursed pathway unlocked itself. Nero quickly rushes back to Ki's side. His eyes are practically sparkling with pure hype. There has to be some epic legendary loot hidden in those shadows. The room looks empty, so it is probably completely safe, right? He pokes at the eerie entrance, assuming it is just another invisible force field. But the very second his fingers brush the threshold, a terrifying, suffocating aura floods the entire zone. Pure panic sets in. Before he can even react, a massive gravitational pull starts dragging them into the abyss. Touching that was a fatal mistake. In a flash, the mysterious void violently swallows the entire party. What kind of twisted trap is this? They are plunging through absolute darkness. Blinded and confused, Ki desperately shouts out to check if his crew survived. Their magical auras are completely glitching out. Everyone is fading into pure, static white, utterly clueless about the absolute nightmare they just walked into. Scene shift to the radiant, colorless city. Inside the Eastern Administration branch, tensions are boiling over because of a certain reckless rookie. The tracking system finally pinpointed his exact coordinates. Turns out the kid is out on a deadly expedition run with none other than Red. And get this, he left a spicy little warning. Keep your noses out of my business. But that pitch-black aura of his is a walking disaster. How could anyone let that ticking time bomb out into the wild zone? What on earth was Red thinking? Red might be a legendary powerhouse, but this move is completely unhinged. When that monster spawned in the city limits, they literally moved mountains to cover it up and stop mass hysteria. Now the High Council is in absolute shambles. They are screaming that the apocalyptic black tide has returned. How is the administration supposed to calm that raging fire? Walking into that boardroom means getting verbally destroyed. Amidst the sheer panic, one girl remains completely unbothered, casually asking for a believable cover story. Meet the icy beauty Camellia. She side-eyes the raging director, warning him that his spiking blood pressure is going to put him in a hospital bed. As the elite captain of the Dawn Explorers, she tells the old man to take a deep breath. Blind panic will never solve a crisis of this scale. Does he honestly think a seasoned veteran like Red just winged it? We are talking about the ultimate survivalist here. Having Red on the battlefield is literally the greatest insurance policy in existence. Nobody else has the stats to babysit that kind of walking threat. What if bringing a high-risk liability was all part of a master strategy? Red might be plotting to secure a legendary jackpot out in the wasteland. Right now, blind faith is their only viable option. The director sighs, deeply glaring at his violently bitter cup of tea, knowing she makes a solid point. As long as their strongest warrior is holding the line, the apocalypse is officially paused. He snaps at Camellia to take things seriously, but gives up with a heavy groan. Everyone knows the terrifying stigma behind the black aura. It is the unmistakable signature of the Black Witch, a hue that purely breeds death, despair, and absolute terror. Let us not forget the first black tide. That apocalyptic event nearly wiped humanity off the map, out of the shadows. Nightmarish beasts emerged. The entire globe was suffocated in toxic fog, reducing everything to a cursed wasteland. The ultimate fear, that world-ending nightmare, is about to respawn. This fortress city had barely survived countless monster waves. But let's be real, the next apocalyptic invasion is just ticking down like a time bomb. Why are the higher-ups throwing lives away to conquer the wastelands? It is not about glory. It is raw, desperate survival. The council room grew tense. You have read the classified reports, right? Bizarre anomalies are popping up around our walls like crazy. And then there is the wild card, an awakener, radiating the forbidden black aura. Are these two events linked? The brass has no clue. But one brutal truth remains. If humanity wants to see tomorrow, they need every single ounce of firepower they can get. Lord Luminous made the absolute call. Draft every single weapon into the vanguard, even if that weapon wields the ominous black energy. So the director tossed the burden onto his shoulders, convinced the stubborn council members. No excuses. He just had to grit his teeth and make it happen. Crazy as it sounds, the destiny of this radiant metropolis might just rest in the hands of that shadowy kid. Meanwhile, back in the danger zone, Gale and Eli are completely drained, their auras vanished into thin air. Yet our boy Kay is still glowing. He is just as clueless as they are. Maybe his black aura makes him immune to this void. His teammates collapse, groaning in pure agony. Their life force practically siphoned out of their veins. It makes zero sense. Kay is standing there perfectly fine while his squad is dropping like flies. Is the colorless sickness hitting them this hard? Honestly, this domain has been creeping Kay out from the start. He narrows his eyes. The shadows are shifting. Something is hiding in the dark. Suddenly, he spots the stolen traces of Gale's aura. Ghostly whispers flood his mind, echoing from all directions. What kind of twisted nightmare is this? Kay dares the entity to step into the light. A chill runs down his spine. That eerie whispering voice, he has definitely crossed paths with it before. But wait, the frequency is completely off. Danger alarms blare in his head as the atmosphere drops to freezing. Out of nowhere, a spectral female silhouette manifests right behind them. Who the heck is this phantom? She completely bypassed his absolute detection senses. Kay flinches as the ghost points a dead finger straight at his chest. Before he can react, a massive vortex of pure darkness tears open reality itself, devouring every single speck of light in the vicinity. The sky rips apart to reveal a colossal god-tier leviathan, and down below, an endless swarm of bloodthirsty shadow beasts flooding the horizon. Amidst the chaos, a lone figure stands tall above the apocalypse. Is this a glimpse into a forgotten past, or a horrifying prophecy of the future? Kay stares at the mystery entity, his mind racing. A voice cuts through the void, claiming an identity, cementing a name that will echo through history. The mandate is absolute. He must forge his own destiny and awaken his true, unique aura. Overwhelmed by the raw emotion, tears streak down his face. Kay snaps back to reality, gasping for air. What on earth was that mind-bending hallucination? The visions felt way too real to ignore. But that final image burned into his retinas. Lumiel. It was undeniably Lumiel. But how is that even possible? The sound of a violent struggle jerks him back. Gale is thrashing blindly, begging for backup. Meanwhile, Eli is on her knees, completely broken. Gale screams that some invisible enemy is trying to slaughter them. Beside him, Eli is trapped in her own mental hell, sobbing as she violently apologizes to her sister. She begs for forgiveness, drowning in suffocating guilt. Her mind is shattering under the weight of her past trauma. She just keeps weeping completely, losing her grip on sanity. His squad is rapidly descending into madness. Combine that with the creepy phantom stalker, this death trap is going to consume them all if they do not move. Evacuation is the only option left. Just as panic sets in, a familiar shape pops up. It is Nero. Thank heavens the little guy survived the chaos. The creature seems totally unaffected by the dark void. Nero squeaks desperately, trying to warn Kay about something. They need to trace its footsteps and uncover whatever is hiding out there. But he cannot just abandon his traumatized team. Kay orders Nero to trigger its unique purification skill. Instantly, a brilliant, blinding aura erupts from the little beast. The holy radiance shatters the shadowy blindfolds, cursing Gale and Eli. The mind control spell breaks instantly. Kay orders them to lock down the area and recover. Leaving them behind, our main character charges headfirst into the abyss alone. He treks upward through the suffocating darkness. Hours seem to pass, yet the void is endless. Then the sinister whispers slither back into his ears, taunting him, mocking him that no radiant soul will ever escape this graveyard alive. But our boy Key is utterly done with these edgy villain monologues. A faint glimmer catches his eye in the distance. He pushes through the heavy pressure, marching straight toward the source. Jackpot. Sitting right there is the legendary Stele fragment. The intense magical signature rolling off it proves it is the real deal. Though something is slightly off, its pulsating glow and jagged edges do not match the previous ones at all. Are these ancient relics uniquely forged? Whatever he can, play scientist later. He needs to snatch the loot and evacuate immediately. This haunted dimension is completely messing with his vibes. But the second his skin brushes the relic, boom, the ancient artifact literally melts into his flesh. Panic spikes as the energy surges through his veins. His overpowered auto-absorption passive just triggered on its own. He checks his stats. No fatal damage detected, so he brushes off the crazy power surge. Then reality violently shatters. The oppressive, shadowy domain instantly vaporizes into thin air. They are finally free from the void. The treacherous black lands strike again. Just when you think you understand the rules, this twisted world throws another deadly curveball. Gale limps over carefully, checking if their leader is still in one piece. Meanwhile, Eli is staring at Kay like he grew a second head, completely bewildered. She demands to know how he casually survived that sanity-draining darkness. Kay just shrugs it off. Because right now, the Holy Grail is secured. They actually bagged the Stele fragment. This tiny glowing crystal is exactly what Chief Red sent them to hunt down. Eli is absolutely mesmerized, completely captivated by the divine aura radiating from the relic. But what kind of god-tier power does this thing actually hold? And seriously, how is our main character so ridiculously immune to the deadly corruption of this world? The dude is completely unfazed. Nero just casually strolls up to that sketchy artifact and swallows it whole. Gale and Eli's jaws absolutely drop. Gale completely loses his mind. "Nero, what the heck is wrong with you?" he screams violently, shaking the guy upside down like a human piggy bank. That is literally not food. He demands Nero spit that mystery trash out this exact second. Meanwhile, Kate is desperately trying to break up the chaos. But suddenly, the entire dungeon starts violently shaking. Chunks of the ceiling crash down, totally ruining all the insane effort it took to reach this zone. Nero aggressively swats Gale's hands away. There is zero time to argue right now. The whole cavern is caving in, and they have to bolt before they are buried alive. As our squad sprints for their lives, the camera cuts over to Arancia's elite strike team. They are out here absolutely wiping the floor with a horde of monstrous beasts. But the vibe instantly shifts. Arancia's instincts scream that a massive threat is approaching. The intel warned them about a catastrophic entity roaming this exact grid. Checking the terrifying claw marks nearby, her worst fears are confirmed. Oh yeah, that battle-obsessed psycho has officially entered the chat. The humanoid monstrosity known as the Sword Demon. She was really praying this was just some low-level monster turf war. But out of everything in this godforsaken wasteland, one of the witch's infamous black hands had to crash the party. This dude is insanely toxic. He attacks on sight, fights dirty, and is a massive headache to deal with. Lately, scout teams have been spamming distress signals about nightmare-tier creatures spawning way out of their usual zones. This spike in activity is 100% linked to the Sword Demon's arrival. Arancia makes the tough call. The expedition gets cancelled right here and now. She orders the entire squad to pack up and fall back. Her rookies protest, whining that they are literally inches away from their final waypoint. But Arancia quickly shuts them down. They already bagged enough shadow ink and rare materials to hit their quota. Flexing for extra loot isn't worth getting slaughtered. The whole point of this run was just to let the newbies level up and get a feel for the toxic atmosphere of the Black Land. Mission accomplished, right. But before they can even breathe, a blinding explosion of crimson energy detonates in the distance. That legendary scarlet aura, it has to be Red, the ultimate team leader. And if a powerhouse like him is going all out, he is definitely brawling with the Sword Demon. Suddenly, a lethal shockwave rips through the air straight toward them. Arancia screams for everyone to brace for impact. Without missing a beat, she draws her weapon and charges headfirst into the incoming destruction. She officially declares this mission totally dead. Evacuate back to base immediately, she commands her squad. Arancia is going rogue to back up Red in this high-stakes boss fight. She tosses command to her second in charge, ordering him to get the rookies home alive. "Don't do anything stupid," she yells back at them. Leaving a trail of dust, she blasts off toward the danger zone. Meanwhile, the camera pans to Red, who is currently locked in an epic life-or-death deathmatch with the Sword Demon. The combat choreography here is absolute cinema. The demon unleashes a devastating slash, but Red relies on pure gamer instincts to perfectly parry the strike. The monster refuses to let up, launching a terrifying barrage of relentless attacks. Red is forced on the ultimate defensive, deflecting hit after heavy hit, but Red triggers a massive fiery counter-explosion on impact. The sheer force of the blast knocks the Sword Demon backward across the battlefield. 10 out of 10 baiting skills. Red, a voice echoes through the smoke. "Hey ugly, let's see your boss-level stats dodge this." It's Arancia. She drops from the sky like a meteor, delivering an absolutely crushing blow that craters the demon straight into solid rock. Red just smirks through the dust. "Took you long enough." She almost crossed into the afterlife, waiting for her backup. No time for stupid jokes right now. That strike landed heavy, but taking this monster down is going to require way more firepower. Red flashes a confident grin. They are totally fine. If they unleash their raw chroma, wiping out this pest will be an absolute breeze. Holding back is absolutely off the table. Thank God she made it right before the real bloodbath kicked off. Because trust me, no colorist alive wants to witness his true destructive nature unhinged, even though he always manages to get on her last nerve. But now that the squad is united, it is time to shatter another one of the witch's cursed black hands. The Sword Demon stands there eerily silent. Out of nowhere, echoes of familiar voices bounce off the cavern walls. "We almost made it. Wait, the rookies actually showed up." Both Red and the demon snap their heads, completely caught off guard. The kids are dragging their heavy feet, complaining about the brutal trek. They finally survive the gauntlet. Stepping out of the shadows, they actually feel relieved to see the pitch-black ink, swearing they will never step foot in that hellhole again. But the second Red and Arancia spot them, sheer panic sets in. They sprint forward. Talk about the absolute worst timing. Red screams at the top of his lungs, begging them to fall back and avoid the crossfire. Too late. The sword demon blitzes toward the rookies like a missile. Gale and Eli step up to counter, but their weapons shatter into useless dust upon impact. Their jaws hit the floor. How in the world did their custom-forged gear get obliterated in a single casual strike? The Grim Reaper is literally staring them down. But right as the fatal blow descends, Kay violently throws himself into the line of fire. A gruesome slash tears right through him. Without breaking a sweat, the demon knocks Gale out cold and snatches Eli by the throat. He demands absolute surrender. The villain snarls, ordering them to clear the path and hand over the key immediately. One wrong move, and the hostage gets zeroed. Our main character lies bleeding on the dirt, while Nero completely panics on the sidelines. Pure, unadulterated rage blazes in Red's eyes. On the ground, our boy's hand twitches. The demon barks a warning, counting down the seconds. Arancia glares daggers at this absolute psycho. Hand over what? She has zero clue what he means. But then Kay staggers to his feet, shocking the monster. Something is terrifyingly wrong. A suffocating pitch-black aura violently erupts and swallows Kay's entire body. The demon is trembling. How is this kid even breathing? And more importantly, how does a mere human possess that cursed abyss energy? Acting on pure instinct, Kay summons a gravity-like pull, violently dragging the villain toward him. Red and Arancia watch in horror as Kay chokes him out. Arancia quickly grabs the rookies, screaming for everyone to fall back instantly. Red is completely frozen, his mind short-circuiting. The darkness is eating Kay alive. Do not tell me he is turning into a black hand. He grips the demon's throat, literally draining his life force. The sword demon is losing his mind. This has to be a nightmare. The sheer terror radiating from the boy is exactly like hers. The horrifying truth hits him. He is the key. The dark energy devours the space, spawning nightmarish shadow beasts from the very ground. Thrashing wildly, the villain slashes through the monsters, barely tearing himself out of Kay's deadly grip. He refuses to die in this dump. He decides to butcher the kid, limb by limb, but the moment he swings his blade for the execution, a cold sweat drops down his face. His attacks are completely nullified. Before he can even process the glitch, Kay violently snatches the blade right out of his hands. Instantly, a colossal beast bursts from the earth, jaws wide open to consume him. He never thought it would end like this, but he better watch his front. Because Arancia just crashed the party. Time to meet your maker, scumbag. She delivers a devastating blow, launching him straight through the concrete wall. He barely raised his weapon to block, only to watch his cursed sword snap in half. His survival instincts scream at him to get out of dodge immediately. He confirmed the key's identity anyway. The coward turns on his heels and scrambles. Arancia's blood boils. You have got to be kidding me. You wreck the whole place, and the second you are losing, you dip. She signals Red, pointing out the villain's escape route. They need to intercept him before he vanishes into the abyss. But Red just smirks darkly. Where do you think you are going with drained chroma, buddy? Exploding with absolute fury, Red blitzes forward and brutally severs the demon's entire arm. The villain shrieks in agony. That was pure, raw chroma. Healing magic is totally useless now. Ready for round 2, Red is giving off serious main boss energy, completely done playing games. He vows to send this freak to the grave to join his fallen comrades. A relentless barrage of flashy explosive attacks lights up the cavern. Retreating into the shadows, the battered demon spits a final curse. Next time I am taking the key and burning you all to ashes. And just like that, he dives into a dark crater. Arancia readies herself to jump in after him, but Red grabs her shoulder. Going deeper is basically a death sentence. The slippery bastard got away again. It is wildly frustrating, but their current gear is an absolute joke for exploring the lower depths. Even packing serious light magic, this is their absolute limit. It is maddening how the corrupted soil itself acts like a bulletproof shield for him. They check in with the squad. Eli is fighting back tears, apologizing for being massive dead weight. Red cuts her off. Hey, you are breathing, and that is all that matters. Arancia nods in agreement. Surviving an encounter with that freak without a single casualty, that is insane luck. But the real elephant in the room, what the hell do they do about Kay? They cautiously call out to the kid, praying his mind is still intact. Red always suspected Kay's awakening came with massive red flags, but he never imagined anything this terrifying. Staring at the sinister aura, nobody has a clue what kind of monster he is actually becoming. He is literally absorbing the black earth itself. But then, his body starts glitching out. His consciousness snaps back to reality. But his color is completely drained. He hits the cold ground like a ton of bricks. Dead silence fills the room. The crew turns to the boss, totally freaked out. What exactly is this guy? The camera cuts to the sword demon, who is desperately trying to shake off that brutal chroma wound. His severed arm painfully regenerates from scratch. A voice echoes from the shadows asking if someone beat them to the punch. The newcomer bursts into absolute hysterics. The sword demon looks completely wrecked. Bro got absolutely clapped for sticking his nose where it does not belong. Enter Viper. She smirks, claiming she was dying of boredom anyway, so this is top-tier entertainment. Spill the tea, what actually went down. There is zero chance a powerhouse like him got folded this easily. Who did he fight? He stays dead silent. But then she spots those unmistakable scorch marks, blazing pure crimson flames. No other colors mixed in. The realization hits her like a truck. He threw down with red. How did he even survive boxing with that absolute monster? Seriously, his obsession with picking fights is insane. Watching him take a loss is just too funny. She is literally dying of laughter. He growls at her to shut her mouth and get lost. Still, Red's power level is way too broken for a normal human, and it is seriously getting on his nerves. A dude who literally torches his own body just to keep throwing hands. That guy is definitely going to self-destruct one day. But Viper is not letting him dodge the real question. He felt it too right. The Black Witch's veil was torn wide open. Did he witness it or not? Did he figure out the cheat code to break it? She leans in close, demanding he spit out the facts right now. She knows exactly what kind of chaos follows when that dark veil drops. But this absolute meathead refuses to drop any hints. Just as she thought, if the identity of the key gets leaked, it is game over for them. He wants to hoard the prize all for himself, choosing to keep his mouth shut. But his desperate silence is a dead giveaway. He is acting sus, but honestly, she could not care less. Her squad was bound to crack the mystery anyway. And spoiler alert, they totally will. Judging by his panicked vibe, an external force definitely shattered the barrier, and the odds are high that the city dwellers are pulling the strings. So if they just keep spamming monstrous creatures into the zone, a massive clue will drop eventually. The camera pans to a gigantic nightmare-fueled beast. They are gearing up to unleash another chaotic monster wave. Scene transition to Colorless City. The main character gets rushed straight to the medical ward. The vibe in the room is surprisingly chill. Guilt hangs heavy in the air. He promised with his whole chest that everyone would be safe, but reality hit them with a brutal reality check. He completely failed to keep his word. He takes full responsibility for the absolute disaster that went down. History is just repeating itself all over again. Some hero he turned out to be. But Eli cuts through the self-pity, reminding him that the survival rate for rookie pioneers is basically zero. They are incredibly lucky to not be in body bags right now. If anything, surviving this raid was a massive carry by the two of them. But there is no need to rush the grind. We cut to Mari, still shaking from the trauma. She swears on her life she will never be dead weight again. It is time for a serious training arc. Mari is still processing the madness. She is totally starstruck, staring at the most legendary colorist in the entire city, casually chilling in a clinic. They introduced themselves as Kay's party members after literally spawning out of nowhere. Seeing Kay return half dead gave her the worst anxiety ever. Thankfully, his new squad actually passes the vibe check. A massive wave of relief washes over her. But real talk, when is he going to wake up? She cannot handle this solo carry pressure. The medics confirmed his vitals are stable, so he should reboot any second now. The pros turn to her, double-checking if she is Kay's close friend Mari. She nods. They assure her there is zero reason to panic about his current state. But right now they need some critical intel. The squad is hunting for a tiny, mysterious familiar named Nero. Do you know where he is hiding? Right on cue. Gale locks onto the main character's shadow. Bingo. The little rascal is right there. That is the exact gremlin that devoured the ancient steely fragment. When the crew first reported it, Red thought they were straight up capping. The artifact just vanished into thin air, and you have no idea how stressful that debriefing was. Gale dives to capture the furball, but it pulls a pro gamer move and dodges straight to Mari. She asks if this is the target. She had been stressing so hard over him, she figured he was hiding out in Kay's shadow, and her heart melts, seeing him safe. Red glares at the creature. Hold up. The aura radiating off this thing feels way too familiar. Before he can even process the glitch in his brain, Nero casually burps up the ultra-rare loot. He just spat it out like it was nothing. The squad breathes a massive sigh of relief, having stressed over how to safely extract it. Holy plot twist, it is the actual steely fragment. They finally secured another piece of the puzzle. All that blood, sweat, and trauma finally paid off. Red is absolutely hyped. Suddenly, we flash to a chaotic memory where they are screaming for backup. Eli and Gale's defenses are crumbling. They desperately need a rescue. The tension peaks and boom, the main character's eyes snap wide open. He looks around the room completely disoriented. Where is he? What happened to the battlefield? But wait, the real panic sets in. His vibrant color is completely gone. It is over for him. If they kick him out again, what kind of lame excuse will he drop? He is in deep trouble. Suddenly, Red tells him to keep his chin up. Did you commit a felony or something? Wipe that depressed look off your face. Your physical appearance literally means nothing here. The most important takeaway, every single one of them absolutely crushed it on their first expedition. Honestly, Red didn't expect them to pop off like this. But the honeymoon phase is over. He is about to push them to their absolute limits, so they better gear up. Understood. Welcome to Team Red. K is completely caught off guard. He chuckles, nodding his head. With the debrief wrapped up, Red immediately dips. If anyone has gripes or questions, they can hold on to them for later. Class dismissed. Red has a highly anticipated meeting with the one and only Madame Luminous. Until command drops their next set of orders, the squad is officially off the clock. Free time activated. Now K definitely has a mountain of explaining to do, and the squad is not letting him off easy. Eli locks eyes with him, demanding to know if he remembers literally anything, from the exact moment he blacked out. K knows damn well that Boss Red ordered absolute secrecy, so he plays the amnesia card. He claims his memory is totally wiped. Eli narrows his eyes, clearly not buying a single word. He lets it slide for now, but it is painfully obvious K is hiding a massive secret. But dodging questions is not the priority. K desperately needs to know, is there any way to get his black aura back? Mari flashes a confident smirk. No need to stress. She is always one step ahead, perfectly prepped for worst-case scenarios. She digs through her stash and boom. There it is. Pure black ink. She literally scavenged this sludge from the wasteland dump, and honestly calling it ink is generous. It is straight-up toxic waste. Why on earth was she hoarding something so lethal? K's eyes light up. He hypes Mari up, calling her the absolute MVP for securing his personal fuel. Eli is totally disgusted. That stuff is basically poison. But K, he downs it without a second thought. Instantly, a surge of power courses through his veins. He feels insanely alive as his signature color floods back. Total body restoration complete. Mari is practically vibrating with excitement. But wait, there is more. She has a massive stockpile waiting at her workshop, and they are heading straight there. K throws her a grateful nod, while a fiery teammate glares totally lost in the sauce. He snaps at K, asking if he is finally done spitting pure nonsense, ready to storm off. But then his eyes lock onto K's arm. It is flawlessly healed. Instant tissue regeneration is an insanely busted high-tier ability. Only elite god-level healer colorists can pull off miracles like that. How the heck is a rookie doing it? But more importantly, K is completely dodging the real question. Why the hell did he throw himself into the line of fire? Why take that devastating hit? K nervously rubs his neck, admitting he just sensed a massive threat, and thought he could tank the damage. The rival absolutely loses it. He screams that K completely choked and almost wiped the entire squad, who even asked for his heroic act. The guy is seething, completely unable to stand K's guts. Mari instantly flares up. What is his actual problem? Why is he having a total meltdown over nothing? The rival violently shakes K off and storms out. Mari is utterly baffled by the toxic energy, but Eli calmly tells her to just ignore the drama. Eli decides to head out too, tossing K a quick thanks for showing up. Their highly anticipated one-on-one duel, officially on hold. K turns back to Mari completely hyped. Before they bounce, he has a massive surprise for her. He absolutely wrecked an enemy during the raid and snatched this epic loot specifically for her. He reveals the drop. Mari stares at it in pure awe. But before we get her epic reaction, the camera pans to Red. He has officially arrived at the pulsing core, the exact source of the city's brilliant light. The mysterious figure welcomes him. She has been anticipating his arrival, and he finally brings game-changing news. After an absolute eternity of waiting, just as the prophecies foretold, they have finally shattered the veil of the Black Witch Madame Luminous in the flesh. We finally meet the legend. But hold that thought. Let us rewind back to Mari's workshop. Her mind is utterly blown. She has only seen mythical artifacts like this buried in ancient textbooks. This is straight-up lost civilization technology, no doubt about it. It is a highly advanced core that guzzles ink for fuel. The concept is not new, but the raw efficiency. Absolutely game-breaking. Did heavily diluted ink. Seriously, keep a massive ruin golem fully operational this entire time. The ancient engineering is terrifyingly overpowered. But K just stares blankly. To him, it literally looks like a piece of junk. Just another standard core. He absolutely refuses to believe this thing is a legendary artifact. But oh, it is. Even the most elite Pioneer Corps barely sniff loot like this in the deepest dungeons. Finding one a year is considered lottery-level luck. Mari is practically drooling. She wishes she could time travel back to that golden era. An entire universe packed with god-tier lost technology. Absolute paradise. But K's brain goes straight to the bag. If this thing is so legendary, they could auction it off for insane money. Mari instantly snaps. She glares at him, absolutely disgusted by his uncultured mindset. Does he seriously think a genius mechanic like her would ever sell out for quick cash? Hell no. She is going to tear this thing apart and reverse engineer its secrets. He better prepare himself for something epic. Her brain is currently overflowing with god-tier blueprints. She is going to forge the ultimate ridiculously overpowered gear, custom-made, just for him. Once the ink refinement is complete, she instantly locks in, starting the crafting process. Looking at her absolutely glowing with joy, Kay realizes securing that loot was a massive W. He tells Nero it is time to bounce, promising to swing by later, but Mari suddenly stops him. Wait a second. Now that her brain is working, she remembers something extremely sketch. Someone was actively hunting for him. It happened when she sneaked into the highly dangerous Shadow District, desperately trying to score some ink for his recovery. A crew of random, shady-looking guys cornered her out of nowhere. At first, she figured they were just low-level street thugs looking for trouble. But no, they specifically knew who she was, and they were hunting him. They smirked, asking if she was Kay's little friend, and then they dropped the bomb. They demanded a face-to-face with the infamous Black Wielder everyone in the underworld is currently obsessing over. Hearing that, her survival instincts kicked in. She knew dealing with them was a massive death flag, so she bolted like her life depended on it. Kay heavily sighs, scolding her. He literally warned her never to set foot in that lethal zone. She rolls her eyes, firing back that it was a literal life-or-death emergency. Anyway, if she ever bumps into those creeps again, he just doesn't want to get tangled up in this mess. Walking away, a chilling unease crawls up his spine. Still, this turf is practically a safe zone. Nothing too crazy should jump out from the shadows. If he's their real target, they'll hunt him down face to face. Right now, his legs are pure lead from wandering the city. Come to think of it, it's been a minute since he crashed at his own place. He seriously needs to hustle back and recharge. But something feels totally off. The streets are swarming with way too many drifters lately. Slum dwellers who usually rot underground are creeping up to the surface. Did something go down? Don't tell me, a full-blown turf war just erupted. Suddenly Nero chimes in, grabbing our main character's attention. Nero is dead set on dragging him down a sketchy alleyway, going deeper into the Shadow District. That's basically asking for a death wish. But Nero is throwing such a massive fit, he has no choice but to follow. Those instincts are never wrong. A sinister presence is definitely lurking in there. Time to test drive that new trick he's been grinding. Just like when he wrapped his fist in pure black aura, he channels that raw, dark energy straight into his eyes. Boom. His vision completely shifts. After spamming this skill a few times, the unseen world finally bleeds into reality. If he can perfectly mimic that flow, navigating this pitch-black hellscape will be a breeze. He activates inverted vision, and the shadows peel back. His heart skips a beat. He wasn't hallucinating. There is actually someone standing right there in the dead of night. The mysterious girl starts drifting away into the gloom. Our boy shouts for her to freeze. Could she be the mastermind who demanded this meetup? If so, letting her slip away isn't an option. He sprints after her. For Mari's safety, he needs to hunt her down and rip off their masks. But the second he crosses the threshold, bam, he's swallowed by a dizzying explosion of colors. What kind of twisted dimension is this? A heartbeat ago, he was breathing alleyway smog. Now the exit is wiped from existence. The mysterious figure finds his confusion totally amusing. She didn't plan on dropping her disguise this early. She smirks, telling him to flex his ego a bit. Not just anyone survives long enough to stand before her. He has zero clue who he's staring at, but she is absolutely thrilled to meet the heir of the Black. Enter Celestia. Her entire presence radiates an overpowering prismatic glow. His jaw drops. There's only one legendary being in existence who shines like a supernova. The absolute apex predator of the resplendent city. The current luminous herself. Why descend from her throne for him? How long has she been pulling his strings? Suddenly agonizing whispers detonate inside his skull. I want that light. Consume it. He grits his teeth, horrified. That demonic voice is back to shatter his sanity. Devour her, rip that light to shreds right this second. Before Celestia can even blink, a violent tsunami of black aura swallows him whole. She tilts her head, intrigued. She hasn't even flexed her aura yet. Boss Red warned her about this glitch, but witnessing the madness firsthand is breathtaking. He's drowning in an ocean of absolute darkness, yet his heart is still beating. Even wilder, he isn't mutating into a mindless monster. He isn't becoming one of the Black Witch Nyx's infamous Black Hands. There has to be some deep, twisted bloodline connection between those two. The High Council is itching to execute him, but she's shutting that down. If he can tank this corruption without losing his soul, his potential is god tier. More importantly, his unique cheat skill is a massive jackpot. If they want to keep this city from turning to ash, playing by the rules is a luxury they can't afford. If weaponizing the darkness saves lives, they need to pull the trigger. Legends are only forged when you gamble with death. So, before things get too chaotic, why not have a cozy little chat? With a single elegant tap of her staff, she shatters the black corruption clinging to his face. Kay gasps for air. That wasn't just random noise. It was the most terrifyingly clear audio he's ever picked up. Celestia leans in, curious about the broadcast. It was the literal voice of the Black Witch. She interrogates him, but Kay plays dumb, brushing it off as creepy ghost whispers. She flashes a warm smile, telling him to drop the defensive stance. Boss Red couldn't stop hyping him up, so she had to see the rookie for herself. But first and foremost, she came to deliver a massive thank you. A thank you on behalf of millions. Kay blinks, totally lost. He hasn't played hero for this city. But then she projects a glowing image. The stele fragment. Very few elite players understand the true weight of this drop. Dragging this sacred light back from the abyss. It's an absolute game changer. It's the ultimate achievement, worthy of legendary praise. Kay immediately deflects, claiming his squad carried the raid. She nods, totally respecting the humble act. The red team definitely put in the blood, sweat, and tears. She knows that. But the mind-blowing truth, Kay was the only hacker who glitched through the Black Witch's veil. The gravity of that flex hits Kay like a freight train. Not even the god-tier awakened ones, not even the Luminous herself could scratch that barrier. The only entity authorized to bypass it is the Black Witch. These steely fragments are scattered across the nightmare zone known as the Black Earth, and almost all of them are locked behind the Witch's veil. They've been locked in an endless, bloody war, clashing with the Black Hands just to snatch a single piece. Up until today, they've only managed to scavenge a pathetic handful of unsealed shards. Kay's brain goes into overdrive. Okay, he gets the lore drop, but why leak this ultra-classified intel to a noob like him? He doesn't even know what these glowing rocks actually do. Why are Boss Red and the literal queen of the city treating this like the Holy Grail? She chuckles, realizing she skipped the tutorial phase. But words are cheap. Showing him the ultimate truth will shatter his reality way faster. There's just one ironclad rule: keep his mouth shut. Only a handful of ghosts in this city even know this secret exists. Without wasting a single second, she brushes the barrier aside to reveal her hidden sanctuary. This is the very core of her transformation. Hold up, no need to freak out. She literally just warped them straight to her secret hideout. And get this, our boy is the very first outsider to ever lay eyes on it. That is a massive green flag right there. She whispers for him to focus entirely on the pitch-black void, watching as a mysterious aura begins to bloom directly out of the shadows. Boom! The sheer intensity of that radiant energy is absolutely mind-blowing. Our guy is left standing there completely paralyzed by awe. Just watch as the cursed, decaying soil literally scatters away from her blinding light. It is an absolute flex that leaves our main character completely speechless.